Have you been enjoying Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home and are looking for some tips and tricks? Or have you been struggling because you can't figure the game out? Well, don't fear, because Eli is here. So in today's video, I want to go through the different sections of the game and give you a few tips and tricks in all of the different sections. The first thing I want to talk about is the controls. There's actually 3 different ways to move around. The first you can do is you can just touch an area and then your character is going to run to that area. So if I touch here, then they're going to run there, or they're going to run here. The second way to run around is if you touch a certain area and then you hold your finger there, she's just going to continually run in that direction. There's also a special third way to move around, and that is to push these 3 lines in the top right corner. Then the map is going to pop up and you can choose anywhere that you would like to go. Maybe today I want to go see Christina, so what I'm going to do is push this button in the bottom right hand corner. And your character is just going to continuously run to that area. Then as you're running there, if you see something that you want to do instead, you can also just touch a different area and then your character is going to run there instead. So if you pick somewhere that's really far away, maybe your character is running and then you want to stop and do something else, you're fine to do that. But then you're going to have to go back into the map and choose that area again. So yeah, those are the 3 ways to move around in Home Sweet Home. Now that we have the controls under control, let's talk about how to move the storyline forward. So in this game really strongly focuses on happiness. Now what happiness is every night when you go to sleep, there's going to be this star and it's going to drip star dust into this bottle. Sorry, me describing that makes it sound really weird, but yeah, that's how it works in this game. So how do you increase this stardust? Well, there's actually 3 different ways that you can increase this stardust. You can talk to the different people in the town. Every time you talk to them, it's going to give you a very tiny amount of stardust. That way, I think it's the easiest, but yeah, it also is the slowest way to do it. The second way is to sell things in your shipping bin. When you sell things in your shipping bin, it does increase it a bit, but yeah, not as much as the third way. The third way is to complete requests from the villagers. Now, if you want to progress in the game very quickly, my recommendation is very strongly to do requests for the villagers. You can also ship things and talk to the villagers, and for the first few missions, it seems like it's okay to do that, but once you get to the 3rd, the 4th, and so on, then those 2 methods are way too slow, and I strongly recommend focusing on completing the requests, because yeah, you get a ton more stardust that way. The game story, it progresses in 2 ways. First is that way that we were just talking about, increasing the happiness, and then the second way is you're going to have main story quests. Now, most of these quests, I've actually found they're not really that difficult. I definitely recommend completing that request as soon as possible because, yeah, it's going to bottleneck the amount of happiness that you can get. So, yeah, try to complete that quest as soon as you can. Otherwise, you're not going to be earning happiness for a little while. There's going to be a lot of benefits to completing the main storyline. First of all, you can't become best friends with any of the characters until you complete the storylines. Each time you level up, you can get a little bit closer with all of the different villagers. There's also going to be new people who move to your town. The new people who come to your town, some of them are just tourists, but then others, they are full-flown villagers. Also, completing the main chapters, it also lets you upgrade your farm, and it lets you go into the mines, and yeah, there's just a ton of things that happen when you complete the different chapters. So my recommendation is, as you're playing this game, always try to be completing the main storylines. If you've played some of the last Harvest Moon games, this probably shouldn't be surprising to you at all, because yeah, a lot of these Harvest Moon games, they love to hide things behind the storyline. Next, moving right along, let's talk about gold. Most of you who are watching this video, you probably are wondering, how can I make a lot of money in Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home? Well, if you are in the very early game, what you're going to want to do in your first few days is forage as much as possible and talk to as many villagers as possible. Number 1, this is going to increase your happiness, which is going to let you get to the next chapter. And number 2, this is going to earn you a little bit of money. Now, it is strongly my recommendation in the early game to save up some money and get the different tools. You're going to want to buy a hammer and an axe as soon as you possibly can, because yeah, you're definitely going to want to be able to get stone and lumber as soon as possible. Once you've completed the first few chapters, you're going to be able to do two things that you could not in the first chapter. The first one is raising animals, and in this game I definitely recommend raising animals because it makes you more money than it did in some of the previous Harvest Moon games. In this game, there's actually 3 different levels of quality for all products. So your crops and your animal products, they're all going to be 1 star, 2 star, or 3 stars. How do you increase the star level? Well, since we're talking about animals first, of course, you're going to want your animal to be happy. The happier your animal is, then the higher chances that they're going to give you 3-star things. How are you going to keep your animals happy? Well, of course, you're going to feed them every day. You can feed them by chopping down 20 weeds, and then you can go to this maker and turn 20 weeds into 1 animal feed. In this game, cows and chickens, they just eat the same thing. Now, another thing to note is that if you let your animals outside, they are not going to eat automatically like it is in some games. Every day, you're still going to have to give them some food. Again, early game, when you're trying to save money, I definitely would recommend just cutting down 20 weeds and then turning that into 1 food. However, the longer you play, the more you're not going to have that much time each day to chop down 20 weeds because that's a lot. What you're going to want to do is go to the animal shop and get grass. Now, with grass in this game, you only have to water it the first day. So just plant a whole bunch of grass, water it on that first day, and then wait a couple days, and bam, you got some grass. Now, grass, you can turn 1 grass into 1 animal feed. This is much, much faster, and you're not going to have to worry about feed so much if you do that. So back to that animal happiness. Number 1, you're going to feed them every day. Number 2, you're going to pet them every day. And number 3, if the weather is nice, you can let them outside. Now, I did say that letting them outside, it doesn't let them eat automatically, but if you want to raise their heart level as soon as possible, then definitely let them outside on sunny days. The game doesn't let you take the animals out on rainy days or days when the weather is bad, so yeah, you don't have to worry about that. You also don't have to worry about putting the animals back in the barn. You can just let them out, and then they will automatically go back in on their own. Early game goal, I definitely would say try to get 1 of each of the different types of animals. If you do this, number 1, you're going to be making more money, and number 2, people will have requests for different things. So yeah, you're probably going to want 1 of every animal as soon as you can. Another thing about animals is you're going to have to clean up after them. Every day you'll find this fertilizer around your barn, 1 for each animal that's in your barn, which perfectly leads us into talking about crops. In this game, crops are actually much more valuable than they were in some of the previous Harvest Moon games, which I think is a big plus, because there's 1 star, 2 star, and 3 star, and there's hybrid crops. How do you get higher level crops and hybrid crops? Well, you're going to want to treat your seeds very well. Of course, you're going to want to water your crops every single day. And then number 2, you can give them fertilizer. In the beginning, you can just take the fertilizer from the barn and just put it directly on the crops. Once you get this fertilizer maker, you can give them proper fertilizer. And yeah, that's going to increase their level and increase the chance that there's a hybrid crop. Now, what happens when you get a hybrid crop? Well, getting a hybrid crop is twice as good as not getting a hybrid crop because you're going to get 2 crops, the original crop that you planted and a bonus hybrid crop. Now, the hybrid crops, usually they sell for more money, so yeah, it's a really huge benefit to get these hybrid crops. Also, every time you get a hybrid crop, you're now going to be able to buy that type of seed directly. Another way to improve your crop quality is to look at this machine right here. It's going to tell you the quality of soil in each of the different plots. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to rotate which plots you are using, because sometimes the plot, it might be super good soil. Then you're going to go there and plant some crops there. But you're only going to want to do 1 round in that plot, because after you use it, it's going to suck up the nutrients in that soil, and it's going to need some time to restore that high quality. So you're going to want to use 1 plot the first time, and then once you've used that plot once, you want to go to a second one. And yeah, if you just keep rotating which plots you are using, then you're going to get the highest quality crops. So yeah, you might be thinking, wow, now I have 3-star crops and I'm making more money. Well, what if I told you there's a way to make even more money? Because there is. After you've completed a few chapters in the main storyline, you're going to go to this bulletin board, and this bulletin board is going to tell you which crops are especially needed. Now, this is going to be 2 random items that change every week. If you sell this, it's going to give you an extra bonus, and you're going to get some extra gold from it. So my recommendation is, of course, to go to the bulletin board, see what is the special product for next week. Buy a bunch of that this week, so that way next week you can sell them all and make some extra profit. And we're still not done, because there's one extra way to make even more money. And what is that? If you continually sell high quality products, then you're going to get a specialty in each individual product. So the easiest one I think to get is the egg specialty qualification. If you have a chicken and you treat it well, it's going to give you a good egg every day. Every day, sell this, then bam, one day you're going to wake up and it's going to tell you that your eggs are a specialty of the town. So because of that, you're going to get a special bonus, and you can even see it in your encyclopedia. You can see it in the encyclopedia. There's this place here for a medal. Once you get this special award, it's actually going to show it in your encyclopedia. You're going to see that there is a special medal next to that product. So yeah, in this game, there are a lot of different ways to make money. So yeah, if you follow these tips, you're going to get high quality crops and animal produce, and you're going to have everything that you need to complete the villagers' requests. The next thing we're going to talk about today is the mines. Now, the mine is another thing that isn't unlocked until you've completed a few of the storyline chapters. Once you have completed a few chapters, you can go to this man right here, who, side note, I don't know, to me, this character, like his mustache, it doesn't look quite right. I don't know, it always looks like his mustache is about to fall off of his face. So yeah, I don't know, is that just me? Please let me know in the comments down below if you also think this character looks a little bit funny. Anyway, if you want to unlock the mine, you're going to have to talk to him, and he's going to give you a request. Just complete that request, and bam, you're going to get to go into the mine. If you played the Winds of Anthos, the mine, it works very similar to that, but there are a few changes. When you go into the mine, you're going to be on level 1, and then you're going to have to get through 5 levels. Once you get to level 6, it's going to unlock an elevator that you can just jump to level 6 the next time you play. So when you go to the mine, you'll be able to choose whether you want to go to level 1, level 6, level 11, and so on. It's not quite that hard, because the second to last level is actually going to be a level where you can just do fishing. So yeah, if you're just trying to get to the bottom of the mine very quickly, it's actually kind of easier than it sounds, because yeah, 20% of the levels, they're actually just fishing levels. Now, the main thing that you have to know about fishing is you're going to want to tap the map, and once you tap the map, it's going to dowse. Dowsing, it's like a radar system where there's going to be a circle, and then it's going to tell you where certain things are. Now, you're going to want to dig in the absolute middle of this circle. Every time you hit the middle of these circles, it's either A, going to be an ore, B, it's going to be a level down to the next level, or C, it's going to be a cracked floor. If you run over the cracked floor, you're going to fall down a level. Now, in this game, much like in the Winds of Anthos, if you are hitting a stone or you're hitting the ore, there's always a chance that rocks are going to fall from the ceiling. Now, if rocks fall from the ceiling, there's going to be an exclamation point and a circle. What you're going to want to do is just tap that circle. If you do it correctly, then you'll hear a noise, and you're not going to get hit by those falling rocks. Personally, it took me a long time to figure that out, and it was actually someone in my Discord who recommended me to try that. And yeah, it took me a little while to get the hang of it, because yeah, I think if you touch somewhere else and then you try to touch the exclamation point, it won't work anymore. You have to see the falling rocks and then push that exclamation point as the first thing that you touch. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So yeah, initially you're only going to be able to go down to floor level 31. Once you get to floor level 31, you're going to have to complete a few more storyline chapters. Then you can talk to the mining guy again. He's going to give you another request, and bam, you're going to have more levels in the mine to explore. Now, the last thing I want to talk about in today's video is stamina. Stamina in this game, luckily, it's a little bit more simple. Walking around the map, it actually doesn't lower your stamina, so that's really good news, especially those of you who played One World and Winds of Anthos. In the beginning, you definitely don't have to worry at all. You can just use all your stamina up for the day, and then it's going to warn you that you can't use any more stamina. It's not going to make you pass out or anything like that. However, once you get to the mid-game, there are 2 ways that you can pass out. The first one is if you are hitting an ore or you're hitting a stone and the rocks fall. If they hit you and your stamina is too low, then bam, you are going to faint. What happens when you faint? Well, you're going to wake up the next day at 12. Yes, you heard that correctly, 12. And not only that, but you're only going to have a third of the stamina that you normally would have. So yeah, I think this is kind of funny that I feel like in almost every way, Home Sweet Home is a little bit nicer to the player, except this way. In the Winds of Anthos, when you fainted, you would just wake up the next day at the same time and you wouldn't lose any stamina. But in this game, yeah, it's like bam, you wake up late and you lose a bunch of stamina. So yeah, try not to faint in this game. The second way that you can faint, if you're in the mines and you find those areas where you can fall through, well, if you fall through, it's also going to lower a bit of your stamina. The final way is if you stay out past 12 p.m., you're also going to faint and wake up the next day. So yeah, that about does it for this beginning tips and tricks video. Please let me know in the comments down below if you still have any more questions. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next time.